Today we'll be discussing JVieraCHROco's plan to leverage our human capital and get back to growth. I truly believe this is the key to unlocking the potential of our people and advancing our multi-year business strategy. The agenda for today is we'll cover the executive summary, we'll go over the strategic growth roadmap, we'll assess our current landscape, move on to in detail people's strategy, then we'll review financial implications of the strategy, and then assess what building an HR structure looks like to support our long-term strategy. And then finally, we'll talk about any change plans that are necessary. So kicking off with the executive summary, the purpose of all this work is to align HR initiatives with the organizational goals and strategic growth roadmap of JVieraCHROCo. Of course, to result in measurable improvements to both employee engagement and overall business growth. After review of a significant amount of data and the results of our employee surveys, we will be launching a comprehensive people strategy focusing on areas that will drive results for the business. Those 4 core areas will be leadership development, culture and engagement, efficiency, and technology. We will also be recommending leveraging internal resources to build toolkits and trainings for these areas to help us close some of the capability gaps we've seen across the network. And we would like to restructure the HR function. And one of the core areas is around the talent acquisition department, moving from leveraging an agency to moving in-house, where we have top talent recruiters doing the work in-house for us. With that, we would like to launch what I would call workday transformation, deploying an HR human capital management system in Workday, and we'll talk more about that as we move on. But of course, if we invest in a robust people strategy, this will drive growth, improve performance, and enhance our employer brand and engagement. So to quickly high spot our strategic growth roadmap, where are we trying to go? Where are we focusing as a company? So as you can see here, the 4 pillars: digital innovation, complementary capabilities, operating model optimization, and talent superiority. When we look at talent superiority, we see build people strategy. So as a company together, we recognize that we need a plan to leverage our human capital. And so we'll spend most of the time discussing that in particular, but you will notice within the people strategy, we are pulling on a number of the initiatives that are sitting across this roadmap to help bolster or support our people as we bring some of these initiatives to life. I'm going to take a minute or two just to give you some highlights on the underlying data here and the reason for why we've selected the pillars that we did for our people strategy. So here, the leadership insight summary. We did ask our leaders a couple of questions, really to help us understand what they believe are the critical, capabilities required for the future. What are the biggest gaps right now within our organization? What makes us special? What are our differentiators? And what do we need? And what are the trends that we need to shift to enable, our strategic growth roadmap to come to life? So with that, there are just a few points that I want to share here. A big theme that came out was technology. There is, a recognition that we need tools, better tools. We need more progressive tools. We need to embrace the technology space. There's also an understanding that we need to review, our policies, our process, our operating model altogether. There was, a point around, remote work, hybrid work. There is a kind of a request for us as a company to move from a traditional environment to a more progressive culture. So a lot of these things that kind of came through, you'll see that our people strategy took a lot of this into consideration as we built out the initiatives. Here is the voice of the employee. So this is just a recap of our survey data. And here you can see that, employee effectiveness versus the importance insights. We are, actually, trending down here as well by, a difference of either 2 to 3 points for each of these key areas, whether it be leadership, culture of belonging, manager support, retirement benefits, career development, time off, teamwork, all areas that are important to our people and opportunities for us to improve. Lastly, here we have our people KPI dashboard, and as you can see by all of the red here on this slide, we are trending negatively, and so this just further reinforces the importance of our focus on the people strategy. So before I move into the people strategy, I do want to remind us of our employee value proposition, and that is at JVieraCHROCo, we offer the perks of a leading future-focused executive search firm committed to delivering exceptional service through a passionate, collaborative team. Driven by core values, we foster a dynamic environment empowered by strong relationships and innovative technology. We invest in top talent and growth opportunities, creating a place where employees thrive personally and professionally, and where your contributions truly make a difference. So as we look at our people strategy here at JVieraCHROCo, we tie this all back to the vision. So the vision for the company is about building an innovative and agile organization equipped to lead in the future, with leaders and employees aligned to shared goals and a commitment to continuous growth. When we take that to the people strategy in particular, it is all about unlocking the collective potential of a future-ready workforce. Digging into the 4 pillars: leadership, culture and engagement, technology, and efficiency. Each of them is designed to focus on how we unlock the capabilities in each of those 4 areas. So as we look at leadership, our goal is to build leaders for the future, and we'll measure that by our internal promotional rates. As we look at culture and engagement, the goal really is to live our values and bring to life the right environment for our people to feel empowered, whether that's through enhancing policies or reward and recognition programs or building community. And we will do that and measure it through our annual employee survey. Technology, our goal here is to build capabilities to leverage new technology platforms, and we will measure this by the retention of our tech talent that we are seeking to retain or attain. We are also clear that we need to focus on efficiency, whether that be conducting an organizational redesign or looking at, programs that we are investing dollars in. We need to review our current headcount growth in segments where maybe we need to repurpose that headcount, address spans and layers. So there are a number of areas that we need to take a look at in depth. And so we will talk about specific initiatives against each of these pillars in the next slide. We have outlined as an HR function a number of initiatives that are tied to each of these pillars. And so we'll start with leadership. In the leadership arena, we need to launch change management tools. As we move on this future-focused journey, we need to equip our leaders with the materials to be able to manage change, and we need change agents at the forefront. And so as we move from a more traditional to progressive environment, we will need to equip our leaders with the method to bring people along. In addition to that, we know we have a bit of a deficit in our succession, and so we will launch a 12-month leadership masterclass training where we will identify a small cohort of about 20 people that we will move through an intense leadership series with the intent to promote those individuals into bigger roles as transformational leaders for us. When we look at culture and engagement, we will build a group or a network of culture ambassadors that represent all functions, or I would say the 5 divisions across our business, to bring the voice of the employee to leadership so that we can understand what are the initiatives that we can deploy across the organization that will have the most impact. We will also, as an HR function, review in partnership with some employee focus groups, our current policies. We will start with the hybrid work policy and the dress code. We will review policies and programs to ensure we are meeting the needs of our employees, but in addition, making sure we're getting return on our investment. Because there are often times we're noticing that our employees may be receiving a perk that they don't necessarily value, and so we may be able to repurpose those programs into something that brings and drives more value for the business. When we look at technology, we know we have a deficit there in the talent pipeline, and so we will need to conduct a search to find top talent. We also will need to conduct talent reviews in our newly acquired markets where we're not necessarily clear on the skills because of the new acquisitions, and we will identify the tech talent that are in those acquisitional divisions where we can elevate those leaders and leverage them more broadly across the network. We will launch a learning and development series to train on any new capabilities that are required to manage a new technology platform. And from an HR perspective, we would like to deploy a new HR human capital management system, Workday. From an efficiency standpoint, we will partner with facilities to review our footprint for potential reduction of workforce, and we will conduct an org review to assess spans and layers. When we look at all of these things, of course, there are financial implications. So, as I mentioned, we want to launch a leadership program series that will cost about $150,000. If we agree to move forward with a cohort of 25, we would like to launch a cultural ambassador network, and that network will need funds to deploy initiatives, culture building initiatives across the company. And so, we have estimated that if we identify about 10 ambassadors, we will deploy $150,000 across those ambassadors to deploy engagement activities. And then lastly, and most importantly, I would say we would like to launch a human capital management system. That system for 640 employees would cost about $64,000, and I would say plus or minus $10,000 for administrative and implementation fees. The Workday system, I believe, will provide significant resource to the HR function. In addition, it will allow a repository of data and analytics to help us with our talent, whether that is housing succession data, talent review information, demographics, reward information, etc. It will become our one source of truth. In total, those investments come to about $375,000. Now, we would like to fund some of this investment by focusing on certain areas of the business where we think we can reduce cost. And we would start with reducing the facilities footprint. With running some rough numbers and assessing through a calculator, moving to a hybrid workforce, even if we only moved 300 of our 640 people to a hybrid schedule based on their job profile, we would estimate about $2 million in cost savings. In addition, we know that we spend a significant amount of money from an HR standpoint in agency fees. Using a recruiter, we'd like to reduce that significantly by $200,000. So ultimately, when we look at the full picture, we do think there is still over $1.5 million in savings. Just to kind of reinforce the HR operating model, I do believe that the implementation of Workday will transform the HR function. This technology will help support performance reviews, succession plans, people data. It will provide dashboards and reporting. It is a manager tool, So managers will have self-service to a number of different talent components in the system. It is a foundation for providing leaders with data about their people. In addition, the HR org design, I would build a talent management function. This would bring talent acquisition in-house so we could hire a top talent recruitment team and convert that agency investment into funding for a system like Workday, where we can launch and leverage the Workday recruiting module. We would launch manager training and self-service tools. So we would build an online SharePoint or intranet that provides all the HR programs and policies that our people need access to as we improve them and revise them. We would launch a self-service campaign to reinforce shared service resources to help free up the HRBP capacity and ensure we're moving more to a self-service model. And then we need to take a step toward improving the HR culture. So the collaboration, enhancing collaboration, we would set up reoccurring staff meetings to build relationships and foster a collaboration across the HR function. All of this, I believe, would lead us to a real transformation in the HR team. So lastly, what would we do from a change management standpoint in HR? We would kick off with engaging our stakeholders on Workday in the new system, because Workday is not solely for HR. It is an employee and manager-based tool. It is meant to be a tool that creates efficiency in process for various HR functional tasks. We would launch training so that all users and the HR department and employees can understand how to use the system effectively. We would set up a plan with launch dates, training schedules, go live, and a 90-day look back. We would engage the key stakeholders, the HR team, our division business leaders, and our employee base. We would make sure that we are crystal clear on any risks to the plan, whether that be unbudgeted cost, any IT integration issues, ensuring that we have a lead point from IT to help us with this process. And we would steer clear of any excessive customization. And in the end, what we would do is make sure that we are staying on track. So we would build a dashboard of updates to our executive team to ensure that we're adhering to deadlines and that we are ensuring that we are getting the usage rates and engagement with the system. And I do believe that if we get investment for both Workday and moving our recruiting team in-house in the HR function, we will be set up to really enable the business. So that wraps up my plan. I'm hoping to get some funding and some support and partnership as we move forward as a true business partner here at JVieraCHROCo. Thank you for your time.